Hey, Facebook. Lelania here. How's everybody doing today? So, I wanted to cut this video so I could talk a little bit about a question that I've been asked quite a few times since I made that video where I talked about meeting my shadow during that meditation and the shadow work that I'm doing. And I've been asked, like, what is shadow work? I've also gotten a little bit of love. That's what it was, genuinely. Love in the form of concern that maybe there's something bad about this work that I'm doing. And very grateful for that because it all led me here, the questions and the concerns, to coming into this space of maybe expanding more on what is shadow work. So, shadow work is facing an aspect of ourselves that has been denied. Our shadow, we all have a shadow, and throughout our lives we're really taught to deny this aspect of ourselves, to give it no attention, to deny its existence. And when you choose consciously to do shadow work, you're actually going to not only identify, but to find this part of yourself that you've neglected for your whole life. I mean, imagine that, your whole life being neglected by that which you are a part of. And that's how our shadow feels, right? Our shadow is an aspect of us, bringing into balance the light and the dark of us, right? Without a judgment of which is good and which is bad, taking those words away. You see, part of the problem is that we deem the light is good and the darkness is bad. Like there is any aspect of any part of us that is not good, was not created from good, right? So we deny aspects of ourselves. And what does a neglected child do? I know the answer to this very, very honestly because I've experienced it. What does a neglected child do? A child who does not get attention. A child who is not acknowledged. A child who is not recognized. It acts out, right? Because negative attention is better than no attention. And throughout our lives, what will happen is our shadow side, because it's not respected. Like during times in our younger life when our shadow could have been a great service to us, instead we were told, don't say anything nice unless you have anything nice to say at all. But what if in that moment we had something that needed to be said, like we needed to be heard, and we needed to be valued in that moment, for that's the feeling we were carrying. And what if we had been heard? What if that aspect of ourselves who felt wronged or felt mad or felt angry had been allowed to express itself rather than being told that it should shut itself down, not be acknowledged or recognized? You know, that's just one example of how we're taught to deny aspects of ourselves. We're given these complexes about aspects of ourselves that are part of us, right? So we deny and ignore and neglect this aspect of ourselves. And so doing shadow work is really choosing to consciously come face to face with that aspect of myself, to not only recognize it, but to welcome it in and say, you hold space here, you always have, and you have a right to be here, and I recognize your power, I recognize your gifts, and I'm ready to work with you, I'm ready to create that balance in me. And how do we find our shadow? Interesting. So the shadow aspect of ourselves will generally show up in its completely expected role. And what I mean by that is, so I've been able to identify my parts of my shadow self through paying attention to the feelings that arise in me, excuse me, the feelings that arise in me when I'm judging others. My shadow is definitely present there. The expected role of the shadow would be, we expect the dark side of us to be bad, right? That's what we've been taught. There's bad aspects of us that we need to deny and not to acknowledge, and we need to fear the bad aspects of others and so forth. So we deny aspects of ourselves that are actually of our service. For example, how could our shadows be of service? Well, why do we deem anger a bad emotion? Or it's an experience, just like joy is an experience, right? We're experiencing emotions, but we're not our emotions. So when I feel angry, I am not angry. I feel angry, right? But as a child, we don't know the difference, and we're told we're bad for being angry. That's not good. Or any other area, my shadow side serves me in my competitive nature, right? That part of me, that shadow side of me is like, go, 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 and has this strength and this power in it. And I don't acknowledge its presence in my competitive nature. I've been taught not to. I've been taught that it's not okay to do that, you know? So these are all teachings that I'm learning how to erase by getting to know my shadow side, right? And how I've been able to consciously and unconsciously start to recognize my shadow aspects, or what do I get pissed off about, right? What do I dislike in others? What do I hate in others? What do I deem, wrong in others? Where do I judge others? Because especially the really deep feelings, right? The ones where I'm stirred the most, they're in me. Like I can't dislike something in someone else, whether it be an action or state of being or whatever. If that is not in me in some way, like either I embody that myself or I've been through a situation where I've experienced that directed at me and I haven't healed that. So I've chosen for a long time now, and getting better and better at it, to consciously choose to see all these mirror reflections around me as an opportunity to get to know my shadow side. And when I had that intense experience in that meditation where I met my shadow and just embraced my shadow and was embraced by my shadow, I haven't felt the level of peaceful confidence within me ever that I feel now. I feel this balance being created in me. And does it mean I am peacefully confident in every moment? No. But I shift very quickly, right? And I've had some really awesome, challenging moments in just in the last 24 hours that have gifted me an opportunity to see how fast I can shift from being like, screw you, to, wait a minute, that's not what I mean. That's not how I feel. And healing that within myself, whether that healing offered to others is accepted or not, right? Like, really, at the end of the day, it all boils down to that work that we do within. And healing work, the shadow work, is about embracing aspects of ourselves that we've deemed unworthy or bad, or anything along those lines, those judgments, those labels, right? And bringing that aspect of us into balance, pulling it into the center of us and allowing it to have its space, right? Because the truth is that we are all light of the light. We are all created from that brilliant light of creation, and everything that we pull into that light is absorbed by it. So I've learned that I don't need to fear anything, and that anything I perceive to be darkness is not something to fear. It's something to pull within to the light that I am, because the darkness and the light are one and the same. And when I combine them, I create this beautiful balance of being where I'm no longer judging myself. And as I shift away from judging myself, I can shift away from judging others and trying to convince others to feel like I feel or to be like I be, right? Because I'm evolving and growing too. So that would be a more broad explanation of what shadow work is. I work with this in my coaching, and I'll be actually doing some webinars, some workshops soon on shadow work for those who are interested in getting in on a more group setting, shadow work setting, and I'm excited to get that going. I'm working on setting that up now. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and talk to me, and I hope that this was of service to you in somehow. I love you all. Have an amazing day.